we have a date! Two long-awaited tanks finally arrive at Starbase. Vulcan Centaur fires its engines after problems, the International Space Station receives new solar panels with a twist, and Boeing gets sued. Who would have thought? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, stay tuned and let's dive right in. Starship updates. What an action-packed week it's been! With each passing day, Starbase inches closer to the anticipated second orbital launch attempt, and the progress is out there. The water supply system is taking shape, a road closure hints at a potential static fire date for Ship 25, and NASA expresses concerns about SpaceX potentially delaying the Artemis program. But more on that later. Want a trip through Starbase with me? Let's do it! Our journey starts right here. What you're looking at is part of SpaceX's Stage 0, the orbital launch mount. It's essentially a fancy stand engineered to power and fuel starships. Once completely crushed by 30 Raptor engines, it's now beginning to resemble a launch platform again. While activities on the launch mount have somewhat decelerated by now, the focus shifted to sheet pile installation and loads of concrete pouring. They had to fill a hole after all and make sure there's not going to be another one soon. There's been a flurry of activity around the water supply system located behind the OLM. Over recent weeks, we've seen this area transform. It started with the installation of high-pressure black tanks, which were subsequently joined by additional white ones. Lately, there's been significant pile drilling and concrete pouring. Foundations were laid and we speculated about their purpose. Guess what? The wait is finally over. On June 10th, two colossal tanks from Ohio made their grand appearance at Starbase. Interestingly, despite their previous horizontal setup, these tanks were fitted vertically onto special pedestals snugly positioned behind the tower. A pair of extra pedestals suggests that a third unknown tank is also set for installation, yet as of now there is no sign of it. What may come to your mind is the tank delivered to Port Brownsville not so long ago, but it doesn't seem likely to fit the spot given its size, almost double that of the current tanks. I anticipate that SpaceX will instead get another 28-meter or 90-feet tank from a different source in the near future. The specifics of whether the system can be tested with one tank missing remain shrouded in uncertainty, largely due to our limited understanding of the system's workings. We still don't know entirely how it works. However, we can piece together some ideas based on available clues. It seems probable that the high-pressure tanks will house nitrogen. Through an unusual manifold, it might then be channeled to either the 4 small tanks or the 3 larger ones, thus creating the necessary pressure for the water-cooled steel plate. The problem lies in figuring out why 2 separate sets of water tanks are needed in the first place. One possibility could be that the 4 smaller ones are employed during the launch, with the other 3 serving as storage to avoid the need for refilling after each launch. Alternatively, the trio of tanks could hold the water used during the test, and the quartet of smaller ones is acting as water hammer arresters. Did you know that in high water flow situations, the abrupt closure of a valve can cause a damaging pressure spike that could ruin the plumbing? The pipe gets shut off in the front, water keeps coming from the back, pressure spike, not good. A water hammer arrestor is an effective safeguard against this. It's all speculation at this point. More staring at pictures of Starbase for hours will be needed. Good thing that's my favorite hobby anyway. Do you have any theories about how this system might operate? Help me out. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. When discussing the water supply system, I mentioned the 50-meter tank that arrived in Boca Chica last week. Although it's doubtful that it will be used for water storage, it appears we've identified its final destination. Take a look at the entrance to the launch complex with me. What you see next to the vertical storage tanks is a collection of 7 horizontal tanks. 2 large 50-meter or 160 feet ones and 5 45-meter or 147 feet vessels. As you've likely already realized because you're an avid Y-watcher, the delivered tank bears a striking resemblance to the pair of larger tanks. While staring at pictures for hours, sometimes we even do that in groups here at Y, we noticed something during the most recent RGB aerial photography flyover. Mauricio once again managed to capture a very interesting detail. Did you notice it? Besides the smaller tanks, new foundations have sprung up. If you piece these two bits of information together, the conclusion points to an expansion of the methane tank farm. Given that it fits, my hypothesis is that the elongated tank will be installed there, thereby increasing the methane storage capacity and reducing the frequency of orbital tank farm refueling. There is a slight chance that, alternatively, the shorter tank from Massey's test site might find a new home here, but it's not the most likely scenario. Let's venture into the suborbital sector of the complex for an intimate look at Ship 25. That came out wrong. Did you notice that Ship 25 has been uncoupled from the crane and its hatches have been sealed? After all, it's action time for this one and it seems to be looking forward to it already. Ship 25 is gearing up for its inaugural static fire. Additional evidence hinting towards such a test includes the recent road closure dates issued by Cameron County on June 7th, something we haven't seen in quite a while. Since the initial announcement, closures scheduled for the 12th and 13th have been cancelled, but the closure for the 14th remains in effect. At least as of recording this video. Fun fact, these closure dates love changing just before I release a video. Funny little closure dates. The accompanying document for the closure suggests the possibility of non-spaceflight test activities which could potentially include a static fire. All of this means there is a significant likelihood that we might once again experience the thunderous roar of Raptors on June 14th, anytime between 8 AM and 8 PM Texas time. Get your favorite beverage ready. That is a considerable time window, so to stay informed without needing to check the cameras every few minutes, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Felix Schlang. Dude, I am excited. Another static fire in less than 2 months since the B7 Ship 24 launch. Yes please, SpaceX speed. On we go. Did you know that Ships 28 and 29 standing tall in the high bay are both nearing completion? Once they depart, we'll be able to see the changes between this generation and Ships 24 and 25. That'll be fun for an episode. Adjacent to the high bay lies the mega bay, the holy cradle of booster production. And Booster 9 isn't going anywhere right now, a prototype that has already undergone a series of cryogenic tests. It'll likely stay in the mega bay for quite some time before rolling down to the pads. Sorry Booster 9 fans, you'll have to wait a little longer. Right next to it, another prototype, Booster 12, is being assembled at an impressive rate. By the 8th, its liquid oxygen tank already towered at 12 rings high, and with the addition of 4 more rings, the complete tank now stands 16 out of 24 rings tall. Construction of the methane tank, however, is yet to begin. We demand more boosters. Interestingly, the building itself has been receiving some enhancements. Since the launch, workers have been installing glass windows on the top floor, and they are almost done with it. What's this going to be? A rave cave, a launch viewing area, a penthouse for Gwynne Shotwell? Any ideas? And a stone's throw away, the construction of another mega bay is underway. 2 sections that were previously transported are being prepped for lifting and installation on top of the building's foundation in the coming days. In fact, by the time you're watching this, 1 section might have already been lifted. The remaining prefabricated parts are being assembled at the Sanchez site, with 4 more sections nearly ready for transportation to the construction site. Now, upon examining the complex more closely, remember the picture staring, it is evident that the components we talked about in previous episodes do indeed seem to be the shield for the water-cooled steel plate as they surround the green pipe. Let's hope that there isn't much more work to be done before these plates can be transported to the launch site. We're so spoiled by SpaceX's speed by now. The other parts of the system are still covered by the giant tent, but hopefully not for long, as we expect the hangar-type door installation to start rather soon. There is anticipation that we might get a glimpse inside the tent before the doors are put in place, allowing us to see what other elements are hidden within. Timing is everything down there, not just for SpaceX. Our phenomenal Starbase photographer and Winkopp operator Chief managed to snap another component of the peculiar-looking mock-up currently under construction in Production Tent 3 and the mid-bay. We're talking lunar Starship, of course. The latest image shows a flat dome attached to a ring, which we speculate could be lunar landing thrusters. However, this time the aerial shot doesn't reveal much more. An apparent hatch or door seems to have been taped off for reasons unknown to us. Perhaps the rest will receive a coat of white paint? Only time will tell. What is clear, however, is that SpaceX needs to demonstrate rapid progress in the Human Landing System program. On June 7th, NASA's Associate Administrator for Exploration Systems Development, Jim Free, voiced his concerns about Starship meeting the 2025 deadline for readying the lunar lander. According to Free, SpaceX will need to execute numerous flights to validate their system, and it seems increasingly probable that the first human Artemis landing could slip to late 2026. In all fairness, as of now, neither the Starship nor the Axiom space suits nor even the SLS are ready for this mission. Hence, it never really appeared that any of these elements would meet the target date in the first place. Crazy, right? The guys who took decades to build SLS are complaining about the delays in the shortest ever proposed development time for the largest ever designed lunar lander. What do you think? Will SpaceX be the one to delay Artemis 3, or maybe a lunar landing in 2025 was never going to happen in the first place? Let me know in the comments. I do read almost every one of them, and while you're at it, give the like button a friendly click and subscribe to stay up to date. Very important for us here at Y. And if you're feeling happy, consider becoming a supporter. You get access to behind the scenes content and much more. $1 per month is where it starts. This way, you provide a stable income for our team and you reduce our dependence on sponsors. You might have noticed that we're not having a sponsor on every episode anymore. Partly due to your increased support. Well done, everyone. If you want to help, a link to our Patreon page can be found in the description. Thank you so much for your support. You rock. Now, did you hear the latest gossip from SpaceX? They've been playing fairy godmother to some smaller companies with their rideshare program, aptly named Transporter. Imagine you're a small company. You've got a satellite, but the whole Falcon 9 to yourself is overkill for your bank account. Here enters SpaceX and its incredible second stage payload dispenser, acting like the ultimate space multi-socket plug capable of hosting a crazy variety of customer payloads. Think of it like a space carpool. Everyone gets to ride and the gas is split, win-win. Thanks to this space ride sharing service, they managed to stuff more than 140 satellites into the cosmic ether during the first transporter launch in January 2021. Talking about traveling in a crowd, since then they've kept the cosmic bus running with 7 more launches. The latest joyride had a whopping 72 payloads on board, including a bunch of cute cube and microsats. Get this, one of the passengers was Swarm Technologies' 14 Space Bees. They're like tiny cosmic bees buzzing around and providing cheap data access for Internet of Things devices all over the world. Did you know that they are sort of like Starlink's little cousin, since Swarm became a SpaceX subsidiary back in 2021? Another intriguing passenger was Orbiter SN3. No, not a Starship prototype, but a satellite deployer. Did you know that this gadget can haul up to 400 kilograms of satellites and has a nifty propulsion system that lets it use an additional 500 meters per second of delta V? It's like an upper stage, deploying payloads into extremely precise orbits. Finally, we come to the piece de resistance, Varda. This ambitious company is diving headfirst into in-space manufacturing, dreaming of producing bioprinted organs, specialized semiconductors, and all sorts of gravity-sensitive pharmaceuticals directly in space. And did you know that their craft was even partially assembled by Rocket Lab, using a customized photon as its base? Once they test their in-orbit production, the satellite will send a capsule back to Earth with 40 to 60 kilograms of extraterrestrial goodies. These might look like baby steps, but remember that growth can be exponential. Exciting times ahead, folks. Space manufacturing, here we come. While we're still reeling from the excitement of the Transporter 8 mission, SpaceX has, of course, been up to more. After a scrub, the CRS-28 mission has finally launched, adding another feather to their cap. It's part of the Commercial Resupply Services program, sending cargo to the International Space Station. Now hold on to your hat, because this flight has smashed some records. The CRS-28 docking marks the 38th time the Dragon spacecraft, encompassing both its original and second generation crew and cargo capsules, has mated up with the ISS. Why does this matter? This achievement trumps the number of times the Space Shuttle ever docked. Crazy, right? And Mighty Dragon is far from done. It has now outlasted the shuttle in space-time, boasting over 1,324 total days in orbit. Not that we're playing favorites, the two vehicles had just slightly different roles, but it's a fascinating snippet of space trivia to dazzle your unknowing friends with. You're welcome. CRS-28's cargo was successfully dropped off at the ISS, the perfect trip so far. On June 9th, astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoberg prepared their spacesuits for a high-stakes spacewalk. Their mission? Install one of the two delivered iROSA solar panels. Hours of meticulous work later, the 18.2 by 6 meter or 60 by 20 Freedom Feet panel was unfurled, boosting the ISS's power capabilities by an extra 20 kilowatts. An average US household uses around 6.6 kilowatts of power per day, so one iROSA panel could power 3 houses. It was the 5th iROSA panel installed, with the 6th eagerly awaiting its turn on June 15th. The ISS needs a lot of energy. When the 6th panel is up and running, it will wrap up this major ISS power upgrade, a 2-year project. Although the new panels partially overshadow the older ones, the overall station's power generation will surge from 160 kilowatts during an orbital day to a stunning 215 kilowatts. This power boost ensures that the ISS is well powered for the rest of its operational life. What an electrifying development. Remember last week, I mentioned the United Launch Alliance's problems with their Vulcan Centaur test campaign. At that point, the rescheduled firing was still up in the air. But ULA CEO Tory Bruno decided to break the suspense with a spontaneous revelation. Seemingly out of nowhere, on June 8th, the Vulcan Centaur was fueled and readied for a static fire. Things initially appeared bleak as the test was on hold for several hours. Lucky for us, it turned out to be a weather-related problem, not related to the rocket. Once the skies cleared, the final countdown commenced at T-7 minutes, followed by a critical go-no-go poll that reassessed every system. And with all systems green, Vulcan roared to life, igniting its twin BE-4 engines fueled by liquid oxygen and methane. According to Tory Bruno, the test proceeded exactly as planned. This successful run means the rocket can now roll back to the Vertical Integration Facility, or VIF, to be mated with its upper stage and payload. If everything continues on track, we should see the Vulcan Centaur reach for the stars within the next few months. While ULA's fortune seems to have turned a corner, the same can be said for another significant space industry player. Boeing is in trouble. I mean, we knew that, but it's getting worse. The company has recently been under fire for the crazy amount of delays and safety concerns surrounding their Starliner capsule, the launch of which has now been suspended indefinitely. That's not even all. Their problems have escalated further with a new lawsuit leveled against them. Remember when during Artemis 1 the space launch system encountered difficulties with a leaky hydrogen valve? Wilson Aerospace, the company that worked with Boeing, says that this issue was due to Boeing's illicit use of their proprietary torque wrench design. No kidding. According to the claim, the task of affixing the 4 RS-25 engines to the SLS's core stage necessitated a unique tool. This tool needed to operate within confined spaces and meet the exacting torque requirements of the SLS. Boeing, as a result, requested a live demonstration from Wilson. However, Wilson alleges that Boeing misled them during the demo by representing all attendees as Boeing employees, whereas some were outside engineers. After gaining a detailed understanding of the design and getting their hands on the actual wrench, Boeing allegedly used this knowledge to create a less expensive version of the tool, thus infringing on Wilson Aerospace's intellectual property rights. Sometimes a torque wrench can change everything. Old engineer proverb. The company strongly believes that Boeing's counterfeit tool was worse compared to the original, leading to numerous leaks during the SLS Green Run campaign. As with any lawsuit, Boeing remains innocent until proven guilty, but if the court rules that they did, in fact, steal their design, the Artemis program could encounter another lengthy delay. What do you think? What the heck is going on at Boeing? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. Remember to hammer the like button hard and subscribe for more awesome content. Check out our epic new shirt in your favorite Space Nerd store. Link is in the description. And if you want to get even smarter about space and rockets, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. And 5:45. Why am I saying all this? Photon. Yay!